What is up, QCM Cubes? I'm back with you, and welcome back. I think I'm going to do another one of these with Dungeons and Dragons and Space Shuttles, but if this is on another background, I guess you realize that. I would like to say for the next time I actually record, just so you guys know, with APOC, Dungeons and Dragons and Space Shuttles, the day I'm recording this, last night I died on the server and lost a bunch of crap. This is my second inventory wipe, basically. So if you guys notice that when the next recording session of shit comes up, just wanted to let you know why. So I have a topic today, which is kind of strange. Subtitles. The way I feel about them, and my opinions on watching something with subtitles both in English and not. And I will say when the subtitles are accurate, they're really good. When you don't know what people are saying, or when the volume is low, but then sometimes they're not very accurate. Which is kind of sad when it's something like Netflix or whatever. I know, we're just kind of hopping right into the whole thing, aren't I? Anyway, I've been getting used to watching a lot of things with subtitles on lately because Maddie's a little hard of hearing, and so she always likes to watch things with the subtitles on, so she can catch it in the subtitles if she misses what someone says. Which is good when the subtitles are accurate. Which, to be fair, the thing we've been doing a lot recently is we've been watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that is mostly accurate because Paramount actually goes to the trouble of fixing the inconsistencies, so that it actually, for the most part, knows how to spell certain words. But yeah, so it's something I have to get used to because, growing up, the only captions you got were closed captioning, which usually was very far off when it even read anything at all, and it was kind of annoying, and black bars that took up a huge amount of space, so I never really watched a lot of things with subtitles. Obviously, you come across the odd thing with subtitles programmed in that weren't shitty, like the Elvish being translated in The Lord of the Rings, for instance. Whenever Aragorn and Legolas are arguing in Rohan. That sort of thing. But yeah, I wasn't used to watching with captions. I still don't prefer to watch with captions, but I have quite a bit lately. I've actually gotten used to watching YouTube videos with captioning on, which was not something I used to do. I only ever do it when I watch them on the TV, though. I don't usually do it when I'm watching them on my iPad or something. But whenever I'm watching them on the TV, for some reason, I've just acclimated to it. For the most part, I don't mind captions, like I said, as long as they're fairly accurate. That's something. I do find myself annoyed when the captions are way far off. The whole reason this even came to my mind was I was thinking about shows in other languages, about my days when I was streaming Dragon Ball when Super went on the hiatus for the dub, and I wanted to finish the show. But also other things that I've watched. I know that there is some conversation between Maddie and I because she wants me to watch Dark. And for those of you who don't know, I believe it's Dark. The first season of the show is in German because it was originally a German show. I think it still is technically a German show, but I don't know if it's still running. But so as I understand it, the whole first season was dubbed, which is a lot harder to get away with in live action. But I just wanted to watch it in English because it's just easier to do it that way. And she was like, "Well, no, you got to watch it in the original. There's a different feeling to it watching the dub," which I understand. For me personally, watching Dragon Ball, it was like I prefer the voices of the English dub actors, but that's because they're the ones that were voicing it when I was growing up watching it. I didn't get to watch a lot of Dragon Ball growing up, but I did catch the odd episode of Z whenever it came on in between things. But I didn't really want to watch Dark, not in English to begin with, because I wanted a chance to watch the show and not have to rely on the subtitles to know what was going on. Now, I have German heritage. I have very strong German heritage, actually. But I only know about 17 words in German. I do not have a large vocabulary in German at all. So I was like, I'd rather watch it in English first, and then I can watch it in German, because I'll at least have an idea of what's going on. And not be paying attention to subtitles. But this extends to other things, especially with Japanese shows. There's a lot of anime I have seen exclusively in Japanese. And that was with crappy auto-generated captions on an old TV. My sister was very obsessed with anime growing up in her teen years. And I didn't mind it. Like, I enjoyed Sailor Moon. I have watched every season and all of the movies to Sailor Moon, and overall I enjoyed it. I've also seen most of Inuyasha, and I've never seen any of the movies in English except the first one, because all the other ones my sister just got them in Japanese before the English dub was done. I was a big fan of some of the voice work. The guy who voices Inuyasha in the dub, I don't know about in the Japanese version. He might do both, I don't know. But the guy who voices him in the dub is the guy who voiced Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic X and in a couple of the games. I believe Richard Cox is his name. And I enjoyed that, because it was a voice actor I knew when I was not somebody who knew a lot of the voice actors by name at that point. I think at that point in life, aside from the big names like Robin Williams, and I'm really trying to come up with other people off the top of my head, Gilbert Godfrey, the things I would have seen probably mostly in like Disney movies. James Earl Jones. Looking back at his career, I don't think of Matthew Broderick as a voice actor, and yet he was a voice actor. Like, for instance, he was Simba in The Lion King, the original Lion King, and I think of him as Ferris Bueller or Inspector Gadget. But yeah, so I've seen a lot of those. There's one I can't remember the name of. It's like Demon Hunter or something. It was a lot like Sailor Moon in the mood of it. I'm sure I'll be able to find it at some point. I want to say it was something about Demon Hunter. Um, you guys might be able to put it down in the comments if you know. I think there was something having to do with something called the Negaverse in it or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of Sailor Moon again. I knew it was a female protagonist led show. I think she was like a witch or something. I don't remember all the details. But yeah, so I've watched a lot of Japanese shows, and I'm a big fan of the shows. I'm not a big fan of the subtitle parts. Especially when there's a lot of action going on. Like, I would rather be watching, paying attention to what's going on than to reading what they're saying. I do think it's a shame that there are some things that are lost in translation. I thought it was a huge honor to the character when there was an episode of Dragon Ball Super where Goku actually refers to himself in English as Son Goku, which, for those of you who don't know, is how he is referred to in the Japanese stuff, the Japanese version. Most people are Son Goku, or like when he calls Zeno Zeni, it's Zen-chan in Japanese. It's like the difference between like a term of endearment, a term of respect, a term of casual reference. Because like whenever they refer to the gods of destruction, for instance, it's all like Sama at the end. I think that they really should have kept the Japanese names for. This is just going to turn into me talking about anime, isn't it? For the Supreme Kai and gods of destruction. They're referred to, the Supreme Kai is referred to as the Kaioshin, which actually probably would have been much shorter to say, and the gods of destruction are referred to as the Hakaioshin. And I think that would have been better to have like a title, but then also just refer to them as the gods of destruction. Maybe just as like a defining line where that's only the angels and the other Kais refer to them as the Hakaioshin. I think that they could have gotten away with that, but they decided not to do that. That's fine, that's whatever. But I do like sometimes when they do reference some of that stuff. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of having to go through the stuff, especially when you're watching it on a small screen, because the subtitles take a lot more space on the screen, depending on how you're watching it. And it's kind of annoying when a chunk of the action is taken up by the captioning. I almost prefer when I watch with captions to watch things with the widescreen format, but that's not really a thing anymore. I know there are a few things that do that, but it's not very popular anymore. We changed film ratios on how we film most things and stuff, because everybody wants every pixel of that screen, and now we can do that and like compress things so they're not screwy looking and stuff. But sometimes I do miss the black bars, just because, and I don't like widescreen format for just watching the movie a lot of the time, but just for the sheer absence of subtitles in the view of what's going on is something. I've been meaning to go through and close caption my own videos at some point when I find the time and willpower. Just so I know that it's not like messing up any of the captioning. But I don't think a lot of people use it on YouTube, to be honest. It does come in useful when it's accurate, because there's just some things where it's like you don't know what somebody said. Sometimes I wish that things had them programmed in from older stuff. Like actually, there's a line that I wish had actually had somebody write it down and then put it in the closed captioning, so they could put it on a DVD when the DVD actually came out, because it was before DVDs. But in the first Batman movie, Joker says something. It's a real shame, this line. He says something along the lines of, it sounds like he says, "I'm of a mind makes a loogie." And after all this time, at least as far as I've been able to glean when it stirs in my mind to look it up, Jack Nicholson does not remember what he said, or what he was trying to say, at least. Well, obviously he remembers what he said if he looks at the scene, but he doesn't know what he was trying to say, and it was an ad-lib line, so it wasn't in the script. So there's just no telling what that should say. It's kind of a funny moment. For some reason, it's one of my favorite moments in the film, because it's just so ridiculously out there. And honestly, I'm kind of disappointed in the prospect that we won't have Jack Nicholson's Joker in the Flash movie. It only occurred to me after thinking about the Flash movie that's now coming out. If Michael Keaton's playing Bruce Wayne Batman, which I was under the impression he was going to be Thomas Wayne, then they could bring back Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Because this is an alternate timeline. This doesn't necessarily have to follow everything that happened in the original Batman movie. It'd be interesting. I am veering off topic, though. But I think I've kind of milked the subtitles for all it's worth. That's kind of my opinion on it. I'm just not a great big fan of subtitles, but they're useful sometimes. I definitely think that studios should do their own subtitles, especially for things that are out of the ordinary. For instance, Star Trek. There's a lot of words that wouldn't make any sense if the closed captionings were auto capturing audio. That probably could apply to things like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. But I definitely think that's a thing that should exist, for sure. Just because it's kind of annoying when you want to know, oh, how do they spell this? And nobody knows. So that's kind of annoying. Anyway, I know in the last video session I didn't do too much of the thing, but in the next upcoming sets of video sessions, I will be starting to well, I might still be building the rail, but I'm going to start mining out. There's a mountain that I've got waypointed on Dungeons, Dragons, and Space Shuttles. Assuming that this is what this is going on, is that has a bunch of quartzite, and I want to build my base at a quartzite and encapsulate the village in a castle. So I'm going to do a lot of mining, which is kind of was the intent with doing these separate recorded audio bits, was that I could then inject it into an audioless busy work type of thing for the times when I didn't feel like recording at that time, or it was late at night but I got to sleep, so I decided to record but not wake Maddie up, or just because sometimes it's hard sometimes to talk about something when it's just me talking. I've really been trying to sort out getting online with somebody, even if they're not just in the Discord, but just in general. or I mean, not on the server necessarily, but just like in the Discord, and just to have somebody to soundboard off of, because it does get boring playing by yourself. And sometimes Maddie wants to do it, and then a lot of the times she doesn't. Which I can't blame her. You know. Yeah. I've been thinking about live streaming, just audio-less, mic-less gameplay, and then cutting together audio for it afterward, because I'm a recording bot now, and then splitting it up, divvying it up into other videos. That way, I can also get stream viewership up. There's also been the occasional thought of mine just to stream playing Kirby or whatever without really talking at all, just for the shits and giggles of playing the game. It's a lot easier to comment on what's going on in the game, either during or after playing. And sometimes there's stuff that would be a lot more funny or memorable, what have you, if they actually contain reaction to them, live reactions. But yeah, if I have to cut up the video, I will in length. I think that about wraps it up for this episode. I'm sorry if it is a little short. Sorry if it is a little long. But I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, make sure to slap that like button. It lets me know that you did. Don't forget to support the channel and everything I do over on Patreon, patreon.com/CubesNLP. I am going to be, hopefully, in the next 2 to 3 months, getting a couple of shirt designs ready. I'm trying to figure out the Fine Arts and Doing campaign for that, and maybe I'll do a special shirt for the Patreon. We shall see about that. If you guys don't want to do a month-to-month subscription thing, but you still want to contribute to helping the channel out, helping me upgrade my equipment, what have you, you can one-time donate at Patreon, not at Patreon, I'm sure there is a way to do that at Patreon too, but at streamlabs.com/CubesNLYT. That's CubesNLYT, same as the gaming channel's name. And yeah, I will catch you guys later. Don't let Skeleton show out. I'll soon see you. Peace.